You're listening to Design Between the Lines, the only design and home furnishings podcast where we talk with the movers and shakers, industry innovators, and lifetime legends of the home furnishings industry. It's here that I get a chance to sit and chat with the influencers shaping the industry into what it is today. This episode of Design Between the Lines is supported by the High Point Arts Council and the Arts Council of Greater Greensboro, a division of the designated county partner with funding from the North Carolina Arts Council. Our guest today is one who has positioned himself to making nothing short of waves in the design industry. George Hall is the mind behind Gezzani, an eclectic, high-end brand which utilizes innovative and sustainable practices from design to manufacturing. His goal? To create exclusive designs that reflect a truly unique and eccentric style, all while pulling from a myriad of cultures around the world. He carries with him a decade of experience and infuses his work with an unbridled passion for art as a way of life. George, it's great to have you here. Welcome to Design Between the Lines.
Thank you, John. That was a remarkable introduction, man. Thank you. I don't think I could have said that myself.
That was only my ninth take, so it was good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's seriously, it's. I've heard so much about you. First time I met you, I knew we needed to have you on the show. So I'm just welcome.
Thank you.
Let's start out because I usually do a little bit of. Let's talk a little bit about your background. First of all, what attracted you to the design industry? I mean, how did you get here? What started the ball rolling in that mind of yours?
Yeah. Well, I've always been into art and design. I always have been a creative. I studied art and design at Winston-Salem State University here in North Carolina. Go Rams.
Yeah, good school.
Right. And I would say it probably started more so like in middle school of really starting to get creative. But when I was younger, my mother was a seamstress. And so I never necessarily helped her design or create things, but I always remembered fabrics being around the house, sewing machines, patterns and everything like that. And so, some people say, is it in the blood? I guess some people might say yes, some people might say no, but some could say that, me kind of just digesting that at such a young age maybe gave me some motivation to do the same.
Well, obviously, she was a big influence on you.
Of course.
The pathway that you've created. Did you have other influences or perhaps even mentors?
Yeah. No, I didn't really grow up with mentors as far as, artistically or creatively. The kind of neighborhood that I grew up in is like not really a lot of mentors around or positive images around to follow. I would say I kind of started to take like art classes in middle school. I think that's where the curriculum gets a little more specific. K through 5 is like just basic art, I guess, education. And after middle school, it started to get a little more intricate and specific as far as different mediums. And then I would say probably my first time designing clothing was when my mom bought me like a blank jersey from like Big Lots or something like that and bought me some iron-on letters. I was talking to her about like, I want to make my own shirt. I want to make my own shirt. And so I think my first piece of clothing that I made was like a jersey with iron-on letters on it. So
great.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I'm thinking she's proud. She's proud of you then.
Of course.
I know she's proud of you now. That's awesome. Well, here we are in High Point, right? How is being here in High Point, surrounded by the home furnishings industry, influenced your career? I kind of have a feeling.
Yeah, right. It has amplified my career and my creative direction because I, pretty much have a lot of these companies here within 15, 20 minutes of, driving from my home to, go to their design showrooms and see what they have to offer and talk to them about their fabrics and, do you sell by the yardage or do you sell by the roll or the bolt? And so I would say just being in such a creative industry anyway.
Mhm.
And just being around that, you kind of, I always feel like creatives flourish when they're in that environment.
Uh,
And so High Point is that environment.
so
And
that's the relationship
yeah, exactly,
between the two.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
so the fact that I utilize upholstery and some furniture fabrics for some of my pieces, it's just kind of like it ties in together. And with me having such a specific niche in, what I do,
Mhm.
and it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of I have my own path where I can forge the relationships and the bonds. Especially one of the most important ones is John Muldoon over at Cohab.
Mhm.
But yeah, this like I feel like I couldn't have lived and graduated in a better city to do what I want to do specifically.
Mhm.
Where I'm from here in North Carolina, right down the road in Greensboro, and it's I couldn't ask to be in a better position and location as far as what I do with furniture fabrics and being in one of the furniture design capitals of the world.
Perfect. So that brings me to the question of, so you mentioned
Hmm.
niche, your direction. So embellish that a little bit, build it out a little bit. Tell me a
Okay.
little bit about what you feel your niche is.
Okay. So what I do is I create limited edition collections of one of ones, one of twos, one of threes,
Mhm.
out of textiles and fabrics that are unconventional to the apparel and fashion industry.
Mhm.
So some of those fabrics are upholstery fabrics, furniture fabrics, because we produce over 92 million tons of furniture and fabric waste every year. A lot of people don't know that.
92 million tons.
92 million tons.
Wow.
Every year, there is 100 billion garments created. And throughout all of the textile and all of the different industries,
Mhm.
92 million tons of fabric waste end up like in either our landfills or our incinerators every year. So there's places in the world where you can go and they're like mounds and mounds. They look like sand dunes on the beach
Oh,
of like just
wow.
clothes and just yeah. And so being environmentally conscious,
Mhm.
an environmentally conscious person anyway, and a creative, you just try to think of ways to, create. And at the same time, like, how can we help the environment? Because we all live here. Some people don't care as much about the environment, and others are
Yeah.
really care about the environment.
Mhm.
And so to, try to offset some of that waste that we have, I create limited edition pieces out of um, upholstery, other different type of textiles, not just upholstery, but other different type of textiles. I use leathers and, that type of thing as
Mhm.
well, because in the furniture industry, you might have a cowhide or something,
Mhm.
right? That could be used as a rug. But if it has like too many imperfections in it, then they can't sell it as a rug, right?
Right,
And
right.
so, well, I can take that and make sure that doesn't like go to a landfill
Mm.
somewhere or an incinerator somewhere and create limited edition, like one of a kind pieces.
So when you're going through these discarded fabrics and
Hmm.
textiles, et cetera, what's your approach to, you got in your mind, I know you got what it's going to take to manufacture the design you kind of, how are you, where does that thing bubble up? That's the
Yeah,
design that you go, oh yeah, I can do this with this. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, what's your process when you get in there and you're
yeah,
just going through things left and
yeah,
right?
yeah. And so, what a lot of the fabrics are not discarded. I would say they're just not used. Right, a
Hmm.
furniture company might need 15 or 20 yards to do a project or two,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
And if it's down to 10 yards and they can't use that anymore and that fabric is discontinued, that's another thing I like to do is source discontinued fabrics
Mm.
so that I know, people are not gonna you're not gonna see this in clothing.
Right.
And so my design process is really organic because I formulate the object
Hmm.
after I see the pattern.
Cool.
So whereas some
Yeah.
fashion designers, I wanted to look exactly like this, and they draw their sketches and everything.
Hmm.
I don't start sketching, and I don't start thinking of what I want the object to be
Hmm.
until I see the fabric,
Gotcha.
because it's different with using different type of textures, right? You're not
Hmm.
using apparel fabrics, so I have to put my hands on it. I have to touch it. I have to see how it flows and how it drops and how, the movement of it and how stiff it is or thin it is. And so a lot of people ask me, do you order your fabric? Absolutely not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't order, fabric that might be outdoor fabric and try to make a jacket out of it. It might be too stiff.
Yeah.
So, it's all about the touch and the feel and seeing it and seeing the hues and the colors and feeling it. And once I do that, if I feel like, okay, yeah, I can kind of see this as this or that, or, then that's how that process
Well,
goes.
tell me what makes your, and you're almost there right now. You've kind of filled in some of the details. What makes your work uniquely Gezzani?
Gezzani.
Gezzani.
Yeah,
Well,
Gezzani.
now I've got to really messed
Nah,
up.
you good.
Yeah. Okay.
It's I guess just the design level that I want to put out and portray is a high-end, limited, collectible design, if you will. Not necessarily fashion design. I consider what I do collectible design. And I like to market to art collectors, right? Because some people, the percentage of, I can't even recall the exact number right now, but the percentage of one wear and second wear uses that we have in like America is ridiculous. Like we're wearing stuff once or twice and like throwing it away. And that's not what I want for my brand. I want, Gezzani to be in families for generations. A mother hands this trench coat down to her daughter. The daughter hands it down to the granddaughter, because jackets and coats are things that can, we can have for decades if we take care of them. And that's why I feel like fast fashion is kind of, messing it up for the real fashion designers and art designers who create wearable art, because fast fashion it's the quality is like poor. You know what I mean?
To use a sports vernacular, it's sort of a one and done.
Yeah, it's like a one and done. It might look good for an evening or a night out, and it's like, the stitching is coming out, or, you wash it one time or dry clean it one time, and, it's losing the color and saturation. And so I just want to create pieces that people want to be happy to wear and have in their, families for generations to come.
Nice. I noticed behind you, you've got a wonderful coat there.
Yes,
It's
sir.
absolutely beautiful. I love the buttons.
Yes, sir.
And I see the lining is uniquely yours.
Yeah, exactly. So the purple lining was a part of, me just figuring out a brand identity, and what I wanted my brand to be, and so like, different brands, Tiffany's, they have the teal, Gucci is like the red and green.
Yep.
Everybody has their signature.
Right.
And so the first couple of jackets that I created, they were pretty much just, the lining was one of the colors that was in the fabric.
Right.
And so I can't remember the day, but one day I woke up and I was like, man, what's my brand identity? What's specifically mine? And purple is a very powerful color. It it signifies power and royalty, and those are the type of things that I want people to feel when they wear my pieces. I want you to feel important. I want you to feel royal. And so that's definitely,
Well, who's going to turn that down?
I know, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, so I'm gonna say this. You're in a way, you're telling your story with every single piece you create.
Exactly.
You're building your story. So I'm guessing you have a strong feeling about the significance of storytelling and design.
Exactly.
Is that right?
Of course.
Yeah.
I think creatives, that is what really makes us creatives, because we're able to produce something, and some people might say, "Oh man, it just looks like paint on a canvas." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, cool. You respect. That's your point of view.
Yeah.
But there are some people that look at that same canvas, and they are narrators of a story themselves,
Mm.
and they aren't even the creative who created it.
Yeah.
And then you talk to the creative, and their narration is a completely different story.
Yeah.
And so that's where we start to intertwine our energies and our thoughts and our minds creatively. And so that's why I feel like so many people identify with artists, even if you're not an artist yourself, because you respect the fact that everybody is able to write their own story, right?
Mhm.
You're the master of your own fate. You're the captain of your own soul,
Mhm.
and you're the author of your life. You're the producer. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yep.
And so everybody's here to see your movie,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, why not write it? Go ahead and write it.
Absolutely.
Write your story. Write how you want it to be portrayed and the angles you want it to be shot at, and
Wow.
yeah.
I sense that sort of is your definition of excellence in design. That
Exactly.
you're writing your story, so do it.
Yeah,
Don't. There's
exactly.
no real excellence in design.
There isn't, and that's part of why I became an artist, because growing up in the manner that I grew up and where I grew up in the neighborhood and everything like that,
Mhm.
everybody's always telling you what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody's do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, do this, do that.
Yeah.
And I think when I got to when I arrived at college, or shortly after high school, because I won a couple of design competitions
Mhm.
and North Carolina State Fair when I was in high school, and so that's what kind of
Wow.
really
That's great.
sparked off the like, hold on, man, I might be pretty good at this. And so from there, I was just like, man, I'm tired of people telling me what to do, man. I just want to like do it how I want to do it. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
create how I want to create. And
Mm.
I feel like being an artist really gives you that opportunity to just, write your own story, man.
Oh,
You,
that
you
is
don't have
cool.
to be a character in somebody else's book. You can write your own book.
That's good, especially one that doesn't make it to the end of the book.
Exactly.
You don't want that to be that. You don't want to be that one.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Basically, we chatted a little bit about this before we started the show. It seems to be there's a surging interest in the maker movement
Mhm.
in all respects, not just home furnishings, but any uh, any person that's making and creating their own design and making that design, whatever it may be. What impact do you feel um, this will have, or maybe already has
Mhm.
had on the design industry? Is that a thing it's a movement now? It's really
Yeah. I think a lot of things lead back to square one, which
Mm.
was the pandemic.
Yeah.
A lot of people were in very tough financial situations.
Mhm.
Didn't know how they were going to pay their bills, and
Yeah.
hoping to receive money from the government because a lot of jobs were deemed non-essential, right?
Yep.
And so I think people saw that all the work that they were putting in for other people, and making the money that you're making for a company somewhere. I think a lot of people have desires to do something else,
Mhm.
but we get caught up in having to pay the bills, and you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I can't live off my desires, right?
Yeah.
I can't pay the bills off desires and
Mhm.
my passion and what I want to do all the
Mhm.
time. But I think the pandemic really reprogrammed how we think about living and life, and just look, man, this is what I like to do, so I'm gonna try to do it. And so that's what I feel like is very a special thing about what John is doing over at Cohab.
Mhm.
He's creating maker spaces
Yeah.
for artists, designers to be able to come in. What we want to do there is create a complete creative ecosystem.
Mhm.
So I mean, whether you're in art, design, furniture, interior design, yoga, meditation, education,
Mhm.
we just want to build like a complete compound
Mhm.
for creatives, artists, makers, co-work spaces. Even we also have a revolving food truck there as well,
Mhm.
with Short Street, the Short Street Group,
Mhm.
and we're inviting culinary professionals. That's culinary arts.
Yeah.
That's art as well.
Yeah.
So we're inviting culinary artists to come in, utilize the food truck, You know what I mean? If you don't have your own
Hmm.
food truck, but you have a culinary business and you're a culinary artist,
Yeah.
then, come in and utilize our kitchen there.
It gives them exposure.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
gives everybody exposure. So, I mean, I just feel like the co-working spaces are taking over as well.
Hmm.
Again, after the pandemic, a lot of people have figured out that, they jack the prices up on mortgages, on rent, everything. And so the brick and mortar is not the number one priority anymore for a lot of artists, designers, and creatives.
Yeah.
Co-working spaces, being able to come together, exchange energy, exchange ideas and creativity, and not have to worry about the overhead of having your own studio.
Yeah.
I think is very attractive to a lot of people. And so I do feel um I don't feel it's a movement. I feel it's just the way that things are starting to be now.
Hmm.
And so people are really starting to bet on themselves.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
and
think
you're I'm getting the feeling that you feel about your generation and the ones coming after you
Mhm.
that you see coming up,
yeah,
that collaboration is extremely important.
exactly.
And I think
Exactly.
that's what you just described earlier. So more power to you. I think I totally agree with that. Uh, I'm going to mention at this moment because you mentioned John Muldoon and Cohab Space. Cohab Space is a location on English Road in High Point, North
1547.
Carolina,
Yep.
1527.
47.
47.
1547. Yep.
Thank you for being. So let's say that again.
1547 West English Road.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's Cohab Space. So those of you who visit High Point, first timers or people that have been here for markets or come from markets, stop by, see Cohab Space. I think
Please
you will
come see
be
us.
astounded.
Please come see us.
Okay. And John owes me a free lunch for that one. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
I got you.
There you go. Your hopes for design and fashion industry. Literally, we just talked about that. Was something I wanted to cover, but let's talk a little bit about, because everybody has them. I know I have. You've had some great successes, and you've had what we'll refer to as learning experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Tell me one of your maybe a surprising success. You didn't think it was going to happen, and then it did. Got one of those?
Probably furniture market, man. Probably furniture market. Me being in Cohab space, and this was my first year presenting.
Was it? Okay.
Yes. I've attended furniture market for about 5 years now. And this being the first year that I actually, put out my product and
Yep.
presented, I did very well at Cohab and showcasing there. And I had so many inquiries and interests in my brand that I had to on Saturday of furniture market, I had to just schedule a tour on Sunday
Yeah.
because so many people were like, "Oh my gosh, well, where's your showroom? When can we see it?" And
Yeah.
so I ended up putting together a little quick impromptu tour of our showroom and just showcase my pieces and everything. But that was definitely probably one of the biggest wins for my brand thus far to this day. But really just getting out there more recently, I'm just starting to travel more, do more showcases, more shows, pop-up shops.
I can hear a fashion show in your future.
Of course. Yeah, we were just talking about that yesterday over at Cohab. So
Oh yeah.
look out, might have something coming early fall.
So that's what's new. Any other new things coming down the pike for you?
Yeah, we're working on some stuff with a couple of friends over in Italy, working on trying to set some stuff up.
Why did I not think that would be a connection for you?
Yeah,
They could see the
trying
value.
to trying to set up a partnership with them
Good for
over
you.
there. They're doing a lot with textiles and cashmeres and wools and stuff like that. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Plus, they got great pasta.
Yeah,
Great
exactly,
pasta. Oh my
exactly.
God.
I can't wait to go over there.
Just line it up. Lose a lot of weight before you go because
Yeah.
you're going to put some on.
Yeah,
when you-
exactly.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's talk. This has been a great conversation. I have to tell you, George has been phenomenal.
Thank you.
I've got a couple more questions related to how you feel design and design marketing is shifting now. And we talked a little bit about makers and that. How's it shifting to accommodate today's consumer? Are you feeling there's a change in the consumers? It used to be years ago that the consumers of today are way different.
Yeah. So I actually read an article the other day on that, on
Mhm.
mass consumerism,
Mhm.
and it's pretty much like kind of dying down
Mm.
because you have so many different people out there that think differently and from different backgrounds. And so it allows for people like myself
Mhm.
to come in and be able to, present a very unique product and be able to kind of get to some of those people who are not just, we're not all grouping together
Yeah.
because, this brand is so-called the hot thing to do.
Yeah.
But I think people are genuinely, purchasing and buying products that they like
Mhm.
and stories that they can get behind, right? I feel
Mhm.
like it's kind of the space for creatives to kind of write their story, how we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
and be able to identify with those stories, right?
Mhm.
Probably 20, 30 years ago, you probably didn't know much about Gucci or Versace unless you were like in fashion. And with social media, like information is like that.
Yeah.
And so you're having to portray yourself and tell your story, and people are identifying with that.
Mhm.
And so I definitely like pride myself on being a designer
Mhm.
that, people can reach out and get in contact with. We spend a lot of money you know, with designers and brands that, wouldn't sit down and have lunch with you. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? If,
Yeah. No,
if
they'd have their
sit down and have coffee with you, man.
they'd
You know
have
what I mean?
they'd have their people do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, right. Exactly. Have my people do it. You know what I
Yeah. Yeah.
mean?
Tell me what it was
So
like. Give me the notes.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I actually love the traveling
Mm.
and touching people and shaking their hands and looking into their eyes and like feeling their energy and feeling their excitement behind my brand and what I'm doing. And so that, that's really, that's pretty much it on that, man. I
Well,
just
that was good. That brings me to a good question. As we talked about this earlier before the show, uh, what would your advice be? Let's say we have a lot of audience that's our students. There are
yeah.
people that are maybe mid-career and sort of like what it was like back at COVID. They're they're thinking, I don't really like what I'm doing. I'd like to. I'm thinking about design. I've had an
Yeah.
interest. I want to go. I mean, to someone who wants to maybe think about a career in fashion like
Mhm.
yourself or in home furnishings or in neck of the woods, what would be your advice to them like right now, especially a student, let's say?
Okay, a student, I would say focus on the 4 B's. The 4 B's are going to be business, brand, bond, and brains. All right, I'm going to say that one more time.
Yeah.
Focus on the 4 B's. That's business, brand, bond, and brains. Of course, the business aspect, make sure your business is in order. Make sure you're handling your business. Make sure if you're a business owner, have your paperwork together. Everything needs to be in order and
Yeah.
correct and exact. Then your brand. Make sure you think long and hard. Don't just try to force yourself to come up with it and I'm gonna have my branding in a week.
Yeah.
Don't do that to yourself. It probably took me a couple of years to come up with Gezzani and what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. Like you said, I've put 10 years into this. So it's been a lot of refining and fine tuning to the
Mhm.
process. And so brand would definitely be just building your brand,
Mhm.
right? Building
Right.
yourself, figuring out exactly what you want to do
Right.
and then executing on that, right?
Well
Making
put.
sure that you you have to know what you want to do
Right.
to focus your thought on it, and then you have to actually put your hands to it and work toward it. The bonds is one of the most important things because your relationships and who you choose to partner with and work with is going to be intricate to your success. Um, a lot of people say it's not what you know, who you know,
Hmm. Well,
because who
yes.
you know will tell you what you need to know,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes.
so make sure that we're building those bonds with other students, right?
Mhm.
Other creatives. Build those bonds with your professors. Build those bonds with different companies. Ask the professors if they know any companies in the area,
Right.
or start to do that research yourself. you will be amazed at what an email can do. Hey, I'm an intern. I'm trying to intern for your company. Maybe I can help with some business and marketing. Anybody's looking for free work. You know what I mean? We can't always get paid, right? Especially if like you're a student. You know, it's a trade-off sometimes.
Right.
And so building those bonds and making sure that you solidify those bonds with people and sitting down and having lunch with them and looking into their eyes and, you know, building a true relationship with them is like one of the most important. And then I think the most important is having the brains. You have to know what you're doing. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to know how to present your product. You have to know how to present yourself. You have to know how to speak. You have to know how to articulate. You have to know how to kind of read the room, right? It's a lot that goes into it. It's not just, oh, I'm just super intelligent in this one thing. You have to be intelligent in a wide array of things in order to truly be successful and be at the level that a lot of, you know, creatives want to be at. I don't think we necessarily want to be famous and, you know, all of that, but I do think we want to have a certain level of notoriety to our work and our crafts and what we do. And so, those are the 4 B's: business, brand, bonds, and brains. And you master those, and you know, you can do anything in life, man. You can do anything you want to do.
Wow. George, I think that is the perfect place to end this conversation, except for me thanking you profusely for your brains and sharing your brand with us today and your thinking. And it's been a pleasure to talk with you. And thank you for being on Design Between the Lines.
Thank you. I look forward to working with you in the future, John, man. This was a great interview, man. Remarkable introduction and everything. Fantastic conversation. And I really look forward to working with you all and making an impact here in High Point.
We are happy that you are here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy
let's have a lot more people come and visit High Point because we are a center for design.
Exactly. Thank you so much, John.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, buddy.
Design Between the Lines is produced by Element Studio with the International Society of Furniture Designers. We record in High Point, North Carolina. To find videos of these podcasts, be sure to subscribe to the International Society of Furniture Designers YouTube channel. To learn more about ISFD, visit isfd.org. And don't forget to subscribe to hear more industry stories of Design Between the Lines.